Good day, fellow observers. Today we are going to do a second test for Get into New York, and this is for version 12.5.4. It's gonna be a 56-minute drive, 23 miles. Let me activate FSD. Okay, so I think we have to make a lane change here. Okay, good.
In 500 feet, keep left to take Meadowlands Sports Complex.
Alright, I think you will hear that chime.
Now keep left to take Meadowlands Sports Complex.
That might be a speed chime, but let me just see. Okay, I think that was a speed limit chime. So, I turned it off for now. Okay, now we are making a lane change. Just want to verify something here for autopilot. Okay, good. Now we are making another lane change.
In 500 feet, take the ramp on the right. Now take the ramp on the right. In 500 feet, take the Interstate 95 North ramp on the left. Now take the Interstate 95 North ramp on the left.
Okay, so we are going here on the left. Now there is heavy traffic right now. So again, this is another test of FSD lane changing capabilities and also how to handle things in heavy traffic conditions. Okay, now we are going to merge here. I think we will have enough room. Okay, good. Okay, so I think we will have to make another merge here because this lane is ending and the car gave us some space right behind it. It was an SUV actually. Okay, now we are going to make a lane change. It postponed though, but I don't see any indication that it will do another one.
In 1 mile, keep right to stay on Interstate 95 North toward George Washington Bridge.
Okay, so we are making a lane change. Okay, so that is a postponement. Okay, there is a bike right beside me, and you see here the steering wheel is adjusting, so I think that is good adjustment. Okay, good slow down here, but that was a heavy brake. Now we're advancing. So as you can see here, we are 0.7 miles away from George Washington Bridge, and usually when you are driving to New York and coming from New Jersey, around this area of New Jersey, then you're gonna head to George Washington, and you see that it's always gonna be this heavy, except for, you know, some off times and nights. But this is how it is when you go into New York. Okay, so FSD kind of... Oh snap, oh snap. Okay, so I'm disengaging. You guys saw that. So there was this wagon that merged, right? And then FSD, I thought it was going to give some space, but it didn't. It kept on advancing. So I wonder, where did FSD learn that from? No, I'm just saying, just asking. So here we are, and just driving manually. And actually, let me now reactivate FSD. Okay, so I reactivated. Let's see. Okay, so we have some window. Oh man, I was hoping that it would make the lane change. Okay, good. All right, now we have it. So it took some time before it was able to get this lane change. Okay, good. Slow down here. And now we continue straight.
Now keep right to stay on Interstate 95 North.
Now I have to mention this. I know I've been saying that I'm going to drop a message to Tesla every time I disengage, but to be honest, I always forget. So it's still in my mind. It will just take some time for me to get used to it. So I had a disengagement just earlier. I wasn't able to drop a message. Okay, so now we are making a lane change. So I wonder, maybe FSD will... Okay, so...
In 1 mile, keep right to take Interstate 95 North toward George Washington Bridge.
So it will continue this route because sometimes it makes a right here to exit 46. Okay, now we make a lane change. Okay, good.
Now keep right to take Interstate 95 North.
Okay, so we are going for the lower level.
In 1,000 feet, take the Interstate 95 North ramp on the left.
Okay, I'm gonna increase my speed because the traffic is faster than what the speed of FSD
Now
has.
take the Interstate 95 North ramp on the left.
Okay, now we make the left here. Okay, so I think we have a good traffic. I mean, like it's lighter than I expected actually. So I'm just gonna increase the speed again because I am on the passing lane, and the cars on the right are already passing me by. But then FSD is not going to the middle lane. Okay, so now we make the lane change. Alright, good. Although I have to say, if I make a lane change, I'll do it further down the curve because
In 1 mile, keep right to take Interstate 95 north toward George Washington Bridge. Then keep right to stay on Interstate 95 north.
because things might get complicated, especially if there was a truck on the rightmost lane. So just some things to keep in mind. Okay, now we make a lane change. Okay, this is sufficient, but I'm not so sure why it went back. It had it already.
Now keep right to take Interstate 95 north. Now keep right to stay on Interstate 95 north.
Okay, so I think we have to slow down further, and FSD did. So this is good. So I have to press accelerator because it pulled the brakes real quick, and that was really an abrupt brake, so I had to press the pedal. Okay, now we're seeing some traffic. Okay, make a lane change. It abandoned the lane change. Okay, good. So it's still continuing to advance. It doesn't see this former toll booth as a blocker, so it just went straight through. So I think that's good. Now you see here, these two lanes will become one, and let's see if it's gonna be complicated. I think it will just go straight. Okay. All right, so I think we have this in the bag. It will just go and continue advancing. So now we are heading to the lower deck of George Washington Bridge, and I would think that there would be another poor GPS location accuracy notice here because there's a dead zone somewhere on the bridge. But I also have to, if you're using FSD going through to New York and you're going through here, after you cross the bridge, there might be some turns that it will, I think it will miss, because last time when I did this, it was thinking that it was on one of the overpasses above instead of being under. So let's see if we have that same issue after we emerge from George Washington Bridge. So I think FSD is thinking of making a lane change. Okay, alright, good. Quick lane change. I would take it. There was enough room for that. down here, good. Okay, so now we have the poor GPS location accuracy. Okay. So let's see, what steps do we have left? Okay, so I think we need to make a lane change to the middle lane. Okay, so I have to, as you heard that, there was poor GPS location accuracy and it said to take over, which I did. So now I make a lane change.
1,000 feet, keep right to stay on Interstate 95 North, US 1 North.
So that's the first time that FSD actually told me to take over. So I think that's good. I was able to record that. So this is more of an FYI if you're driving through here and using FSD. Now let me activate FSD again. Okay, good advance there. Okay, so I have to take over again. And I don't see the poor GPS location accuracy now, but let me just drive a little bit more. So I'm re-engaging FSD now, but as you can see here, if you notice this, it's not yet loading, and again we have poor GPS location accuracy, so I may have to take over one more time. Okay, so I may need to make a lane change. So it should be making lane changes anytime now. Maybe I should do a human intervention here. I think it will miss it. Yeah, it will miss it. Okay, so I guess we are going to make a different route now. So I did not purposefully intervene because I want to see where it will go after this. Okay, so good slowdown here. Alright, good advance. So I'm pressing the accelerator because it's slowing down unnecessarily. We are going to RFK Bridge.
In 1 mile, take exit 17 on the right onto RFK branch toward Interstate 278, Bruckner Expressway.
I see exit 17 here, so we are close by. Okay, now we make a lane change. Alright, good.
Now take exit 17 on the right.
Okay, so this. Okay, good. Okay, good. That was a bit tight though, but shout out to that SUV that gave way for us to make that lane change, or else we're gonna miss another exit. Okay, so I think we have our own lane, but there is a stuck van up ahead, so cars on the left will be going to this lane. Okay, good. Okay, so we're back here. Now we continue to advance.
In 500 feet, stay straight to take the Interstate 278 East ramp toward Interstate 87 North, Bronx. Then take the Interstate 278 East ramp on the left.
Okay, so this is a new example of having the automated toll collection. These cameras here
Now
collect
stay
toll.
straight to take the Interstate 278 East ramp. Now take the Robert F. Kennedy Bridge ramp on the right.
Okay, good. Now, did we miss another exit? I think we did miss another exit. Yep, we did miss another exit. Okay, so that was the, I think, recalculation now. So we are going to Grand Central. So even with the good internet service, I think FSD still can't pinpoint the position at that time. So now let me increase my speed here.
In 1 mile, keep left to stay on Interstate 278 west toward Grand Central Parkway.
So we're crossing a lot of bridges today. Okay, now we make a lane change. Right, good. We have enough space.
Now keep left to stay on Interstate 278 west.
Okay, good lane change to the passing lane. We'll be staying here for the next 3.8 miles. And you know, Saturday mornings, just want to point it out, going out of New York at this time, which is now around 1:30, there are a lot of vehicles going out. So when you saw that the opposite lane, you see here on the left, there are lots of cars now. So I'm going to increase my speed.
In 1 mile, keep left to stay on Grand Central Parkway east toward Grand Central Parkway.
Okay, so now we are slowing down for traffic up ahead. So we have 26 minutes, 8.2 miles remaining.
Now keep left to stay on Grand Central Parkway east.
Okay, now we make a lane change. Alright, good. Okay, so we are going to Long Island Expressway and we're gonna be taking the eastbound LIE.
In 1 mile, take exit 10WE on the right toward Interstate 495.
So this is an interesting route because there's a merge in there that can be tough, but we'll see what kind of traffic we get. Okay, now we make the lane change. Alright, good. And we make another one. Good. Okay, so I was anticipating that maybe we will pass by that merging SUV from the right, because if we do, then I would have to be ready to intervene because it might do an abrupt brake. That's what you've seen in other tests. Okay, so now we go to the
Now take exit 10WE on the right.
to the off ramp.
In 500 feet, take the ramp on the left toward Interstate 495 east. Now take the ramp on the left toward Interstate 495 east.
Okay, so
In 1,000 feet, take the Interstate 495 east ramp on the right toward Van Wyck Expressway.
yeah, these are the
Now
ramps.
take the Interstate 495 east ramp on the right.
Okay, so this one here. So once we make this turn,
In 500 feet, keep left to take Interstate 495 east toward Van Wyck Expressway.
let's see. I want to see how FSD will do here. This is the first time it goes through this route. And we might just have enough room today. Okay, good. That was good. Good lane change.
Now keep left to take Interstate 495 east.
Okay, now we make a lane change again.
In 500 feet, take the Interstate 495 east ramp on the left toward Eastern Long Island.
Okay, it's still very slow, so I'm pressing the accelerator.
Now take the Interstate 495 east ramp on the left.
I think the speed limit was still 35 because it was thinking of, it didn't see any speed limit update yet. Then now it's on the 50s, and so we're kind of going through the speed. Okay, now we make another lane change. Okay, good. Okay, good slowdown here. Okay, good lane change as well. Okay, so now we're making a lane change. Okay, good. So I'm going to disengage now because it was iffy and I just want to get it over with. The thing is, if I don't make a lane change and it makes another one later, I'm kind of preventing those kind of things because there's a lot of risk involved actually. Now we have 1 mile left before we exit to Clearview. This is exit 27 NS, but we are going for the northbound direction. Oh, by the way,
in 1 mile, take exit 27 NS on the right toward Interstate 295. Then take exit 27N on the right.
There was a bike that just passed through, right? And in the prior version, I think that when it saw a bike, it kind of made abrupt brakes and then freeze. But then now there's no abrupt brake or freeze. So I guess that's a good thing. But maybe we're not testing the same scenario, because I do believe the bike in the previous test kind of was in the middle lane and then kind of just went to the next lane on the right. So maybe it's not an apples to apples comparison, but still just want to point that out. Okay, so there are cars that are merging to our lane. Now, good FSD is not slowing down too much at this point and just keeps on advancing. Okay, you see that left door, pillar, camera, something. So I noticed that every time if I'm driving and there was an underpass, but I think it's not an underpass issue, it's more like it was driving under the sun and then suddenly it becomes dark. So I think there's some issue that FSD is picking up during that change from daylight and then suddenly it goes dark. Okay, so now we are making a lane change. I don't think we'll able to make it at the moment. So we should be able to do this here. So now I'm going to disengage and re-engage. So the thing is, I actually don't want to miss this exit because this is the most critical exit so far. If we miss this one, I think we're gonna get lost and have a big recalculation. So now I am applying my preference for this test because we already missed 2 exits. Okay, so now we make a lane change and now we do the exit.
Now take exit 27 NS on the right. Now take exit 27N on the right.
Okay, so now we keep right at a fork and then we go towards the northbound direction. Alright, I just took a peek of the traffic conditions. I think it may be lighter until we exit, but if you go further down, which is going to be the Throgsneck Bridge, I think there will be lots of traffic then. but I think we have what we need. Okay, so let's see. Okay, good. I was about to disengage. Okay, this is cutting it too short. I would have either accelerated fast or slowed down even much more. But either way, we were able to merge, and just by a hair.
In 1,000 feet, take exit 5 on the right toward New York 25A, Northern Boulevard.
Okay, now we exit. And I didn't see the need of going to the middle lane.
Now take exit 5 on the right.
Just want to share that comment.
In 500 feet, turn right onto Northern Boulevard.
Okay, here, this one too can be challenging if there are incoming cars from this side. We are making a right, and so far I'm not seeing approaching vehicles, so I think we're good. So we are going to be able to make a right here.
Now turn right onto Northern Boulevard.
Okay, now we have a yellow. Now we have to stop. All right. So we are close by, guys. 2 minutes, 0.5 miles. Okay, now we have a green light. We are making a right. Okay, good. Okay, good selection of which lane it's gonna move forward with because of this double parked SUV. Now we make a bare right here. Okay, now we're crossing a green, and after this light I think we're going to make the turn. No, after this incoming light.
In 500 feet, turn right onto Bell Boulevard, then turn right.
But it can actually make a right turn here. I think the last time it made a right here. So yeah, I think this is what it's gonna do. Okay, good. And why is this car doing a reverse? Okay. All right, so I'm disengaging now because it wasn't sure. And let me just park briefly here. Looking for parking.
Now turn right onto Bell Boulevard. Now turn right.
Could take it here. Alright, so let me just give my takeaways. So we started off from New Jersey, which if you notice the surroundings, it was around the American Dream Mall. So it's around that area of New Jersey, and it's not far from New York actually. And so we started off with going to I-95 south, and it was able to navigate there, and then it was able to go to the ramp and then merge to I-95. And then when it was continuing its drive, it encountered, actually it made several lane change attempts, and the thing is it wasn't able to execute that right away. So it had several postponements, and then there was this one time when there was a wagon that merged right in front of us while we were on the middle lane. That FSD, even though the car just merged, it kept on advancing, like as if trying to go closer and closer from the rear of that car. So I had to disengage just to give enough space between my vehicle and the one in front. So I think that's the second time it happened. The first time it happened, I do believe, was on a target test for I think 12.5. And so we continued our advance and eventually made a lane change to the passing lane, went straight, and then it was able to navigate towards George Washington Bridge. Now, it was trying to make a lane change to the passing lane approaching George Washington, but wasn't able to. So when we passed through those booths that were no longer booths, toll booth, it was just going to the middle, like the second lane from the left. And so we went straight there, and then the expected poor GPS location accuracy actually popped up while driving on the bridge, and several times that FSD prompted me to take over the drive because I think it's unable to continue with the FSD. So I did that several times, and upon the next instruction, we had to make a right to, I think, towards Cross Bronx, if I'm not mistaken, and that should go straight to Throgs Neck Bridge. The thing is, we missed that lane change to that lane, and we were at the leftmost lane at that point. So FSD just went straight ahead, recalculated, and it was able to go through the, I think we went through the FDR Drive, if I'm not mistaken, and then we headed towards RFK Bridge. But I think, wait, before that, when we missed the ramp towards that would have led us to Throgs Neck, we actually missed another one while we were on RFK Bridge, and instead of going northbound I-87, was it that it went to the southbound because it wasn't able to make a lane change. And I do think like it wasn't able to pinpoint its location, because when I looked at the mini map here, it's not really on point, so I'm attributing it to that. Now, if you have other thoughts, please comment down below, but that's how I interpreted it at that time. And so we went through southbound and then eventually went to Grand Central Parkway, and it was able to make the changes, although I had been a bit iffy with the lane changes for this test for some reason. Maybe because I'm thinking that maybe because the trip was too long and we already missed 2 exits. That's why I just want to make sure that we get to the lane change on point, just so we don't miss another exit, and which will in turn prolong the drive. And yeah, I think that's what happened from my end. That's why I did very early interventions, disengagements for lane changes that it abandoned. So we went to Grand Central, right? And then we transitioned to Long Island Expressway, and I think it did pretty well. The merge to Horace Harding, well, first of all, that was the service road. From Grand Central, you merge, that is Horace Harding Expressway, and then we merged to Long Island Expressway. And while on Long Island Expressway, I noticed myself actually doing what I just mentioned earlier, that when it did lane changes there were 2 that I could remember that it abandoned because it wasn't sure, even though in my estimation it should have been able to execute that without issue. So I disengaged and just made the lane changes myself. FSD was able to, after that, FSD was able to exit towards Clearview Expressway, towards the northbound direction. And the thing is, what I noticed was that when FSD was trying to merge to Clearview, it didn't really accelerate, maybe because the speed that I have is already reaching the speed limit that was set at that time, so it wasn't able to accelerate for that lane change. So what happened was there was a slow moving car on the next lane, which was on my left, and FSD was kind of ahead a little bit, but it's unable to make the lane change, the merge right in front of it, because it wasn't fast enough. So what ended up happening was that the car was able to go through, and then FSD had to wait, and it was able to merge up until the, the on-ramp ended. So it was really just enough. It used most of the ramp just to merge. And then what I noticed was that once we were at the rightmost lane, FSD actually made a lane change to the middle lane, and then overtook that car that was a bit slower, and then overtake that, and then made a lane change again right in front of it. So I don't know what to say, but I don't know what FSD was thinking, but I just want to point that out. And so we exited towards Northern Boulevard. It was able to position itself to the right, and it was able to make a right. And then also upon arrival, it was supposed to make a right turn on this light, but it saw that there was an entrance here before the light, and so that's where it went. And yeah, those are my takeaways. So the thing is, I let FSD kind of make the mistakes for the first time, and then the second time I didn't notice that we're actually getting lost at that point because the navigation was not really clear as to where it needs to be and where the triangle was really located. So I didn't know up until it was already late for me to intervene, and then after that I just made sure that the lane changes that it needs to do will be executed. So these are the things that can happen if you're using FSD going to New York. So it's not really an end-to-end free intervention kind of drive. You would really have to pay close attention and intervene when it's really necessary, especially with lane changes and also when preparing for exits, because sometimes FSD won't be able to see that, and sometimes it does not position itself yet for the upcoming navigation instruction. So again, those are my takeaways, and if you find this video helpful or of value, please like and subscribe.